Our first speaker is Julia Resnik, who wrote this paper together with Lance Levenson, who couldn't make it today, but we'll hear Professor Resnik. She is an associate professor at the Seymour Fox School of Education of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Her main research areas are globalization of education policies, comparative education, multiculturalism, migrant children, international education, and Holocaust education. She has edited various special issues on Anglophone and Francophone journals, and published many articles in peer-reviewed journals such as Comparative Education Review, Ethnic and Racial Studies, Political Geography and Education Complete. Please, Lord yours.
Thank you very much for your invitation. I will present the communication in English, but you can ask questions in Hebrew, and then the idea was in English because I thought that all the panel was in English. Okay, the title, as you see, it's Mediating Intergenerational Memory at an Israel Holocaust Memorial. The memorial is Yad Vashem. Professional development of German teacher from Germany, post-national socialist society. And in order to understand a bit the milieu of the German teacher, we hear less than a minute of German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, some words he said in Fox News.
Big numbers of migrants we have within the last 10 years.
Okay, it's very, very simple. He said that the anti-Semitism that we see now in Germany is in reason of the great number of immigrants, okay?
Frankly.
Okay. But we know that there are no conclusive evidence of this, and the rise of anti-Semitism is caused by other reasons. For instance, the growing new right movement, and teachers encounter in schools a lot of prejudice, stereotype that the children learn in their homes. And the Shoah is becoming more distant. That it's part of the challenges that they are immigrants, that we deal with the idea that they are part of the anti-Semitism in Germany, and also that for young students in Germany, the Holocaust is a far and distant event, and also the teaching methods are not very innovative, and also that's a problem. And more generally, what are the challenges of Shoah education today? How we can make Holocaust education, Shoah education, more relevant to younger generations? And how looks the Shoah education in a migration society, such in Germany? What is the linkage between the Shoah education and many contemporary issues that are the right-wing extremism or neo-Nazism in Germany? But also we know that we deal with emotions that are tied up with teachers' family biographies, and the history of the emotion that arises from parents and grandparents' history related to the Holocaust. We are speaking about German teachers, okay? Then there are also expectations. The teachers, they came with different expectations from Yad Vashem, and especially they want to provoke emotions in students, and more particularly a feeling of guilt, okay? they think that the Holocaust education should introduce in the student this feeling of guilt that German used to have in the past, but young generation are really far from this. This part of the research, and all this, our research is focused on Yad Vashem, that is a museum dealing with the Holocaust, but especially about professional development. Teachers, they come to Yad Vashem for workshop to learn about the Holocaust in order to use it afterward in Germany where they teach. And then we know that professional development is very important for the teachers because they get more knowledge. I don't know if you know, but for instance, in the teacher's studies, they don't have the Holocaust. Teachers don't have to learn about the Holocaust to become teachers. And then large part of the teachers are interested or have to teach, because this is obligatory and mandatory, and then they learn that during professional development. And the expeditions to Yad Vashem are part of this, okay? And they learned about pedagogical content, instructional strategies, in order to fill the gap between their professional knowledge and what happens in the student population. There is not a literature on the role of museum educator in the literature. We can read about the mission of the museums, but not about the role of the educator, the staff of the museum. Okay, and this is the focus of our research. Okay, this presentation especially. The case study, it's all the landers, the federal state in Germany. They have cooperation with Yad Vashem. We speak about a yearly teacher expedition. They came for 5 to 10 days to Israel, and these expeditions include a workshop in Yad Vashem and touring in Israel, but also in the West Bank. What are the research questions? Of our work. There are many challenges that face the teachers and also the teachers, but the staff in Yad Vashem, how they can convey the history and memory of the Shoah from a Jewish perspective to German teachers on this journey. The question is, and we will see that there are a lot of tensions, tension between the expectation of the teachers and the mandate of the Yad Vashem. What is the aim of the Yad Vashem and what are the expectations of the teachers? How do staff mediate between divergent perspectives, between intergenerational memories and expectations associated with post-national socialist societies? How do the tensions which emerge shed light on the needs of teachers in contemporary German? Classroom in German, in the classroom, in the schools, how the Holocaust education can help to deal with the needs in a German classrooms. Okay, our methodology is ethnographic. We include observation, focus group, and interviews, seminar, the 4 German teachers seminar from different parts of Germany, the West Germany and East Germany. We see the years, and the research team was a binational team, Israelis and German ones. We had group discussions, field notes and protocols during the workshop, also in leisure time, during the tours in Israel, in the West Bank, 70 interviews with many people, including ministry representatives, staff of course, stuff of Yad Vashem. And the focus of this presentation today is the perspective of Yad Vashem German desk. Okay, not of the teacher, but how the educators of Yad Vashem, they feel about their work, their workshop. You can see that there are 4 main topics in our findings, okay? And the first one is dealing with German society as perpetrators. The tension between Jewish perspective and the memorial culture in Germany, okay? There is a tension. There is also another tension between historical accuracy and emotional experiences. I will bring, of course, example of all this. And then also the comparisons between the Holocaust and what is going on, what was going on before the 7 October, comparison with the Israel-Palestinian conflict, and also the question of the contemporary concerns, new anti-Semitism, the German right, far right, and other genocide. All of these were challenges for the Yad Vashem staff. And then, starting with the first topic, dealing with German society as perpetrators. There is a irritation somehow about the existence of German Jews who then explain their Germany history to German groups here in Israel, because in the German desk there are German people. Then there is a tension between the teacher that coming from Germany and the educators in the German desk in Yad Vashem. Our mandate is to tell Jewish perspective, but what do you do with topic of perpetrators? The teacher act, they want to deal with the perpetrator, with their society, but the mandate of Yad Vashem is a Jewish perspective of the Shoah and the history of the Shoah, okay? And there is all the time this tension. In the same topic, a perpetrator document that are also become emotional because I'm making conclusion about my own family. This family feeling that you have to defend the perpetrators or justify explanation. The German desk, when they try to explain, and then the teachers, they try to explain the question of how to justify what happened, for instance, from someone in the family, that he was a Nazi, he was not a Nazi. There is a lot of discussion about that. It's not easy as you present it. I mean, it was like the entire society was like that. What can you do? There is this tension. It's the Yad Vashem educator, okay? Often, if not all the time, like there is a question asked, this doubt about choices. Well, that was a very, very important point in the workshop, about the choice. Do the perpetrators have a choice to do or not to do what they have done? And the question was a very, very, they were struggling with that, really, because it was very difficult. I mean, everything has a choice, okay? It's true. The question is, what is the price? Those are the words of Tamar from the German desk. And the question of the choice and how the Yad Vashem people and how the perpetrators or this part of the society of the perpetrators, the teacher German, they see that completely different. Now, it's the second point. It's the tension between historical accuracy and emotional experiences. For instance, we once, Ronit from the German desk in Yad Vashem, she told us, we once had a group from Makpon, one of the lander, where there was great incomprehension as to why the Jews fled to the east, because, she quoted, the Russians were there and they were just as bad as, she wanted to say, as the Nazis, okay? there was certainly anti-Semitism and pogroms in Russia, but no systematic plan to murder all Jews, no genocide. It often amazes me, the German educator in the Yad Vashem, that the historical accuracy of what we tell here is often questioned. The teacher questioned why they fled to Russia. It's not better than what happened in the Shoah. And another point of the emotional question is that the teacher have very high expectation of to have an emotional experience. Why? Because they wanted to pass this experience to the students in order to struggle, to fight the anti-Semitism. And they were astonished how little Jewish perspectives are considered in Germany education about the Shoah. There is very, very little known about the Jewish perspective when they study about the Holocaust. This then, that's another point, the comparison with the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Okay, that's all the time they try raise the question of the conflict. Whether it is because the student or because but also there are groups who immediately after visiting the museum ask in the reflection, how can Israel do to the Palestinians what was done to them in the Holocaust? It creates tensions when they ask me, okay, so what with the Palestinians? We did build a working about anti-Semitism, and there we also compare between anti-Semitism and critique about Israel. But we are trying to make clear that it's really not the same, okay? How we treat Palestinians, we cannot compare that with the genocide, the Holocaust. It's not a thing of comparison, and they try to be gentle and kind, but sometimes for them it's very difficult for the Yad Vashem stuff. Another point is there are German groups particularly preoccupied with the question of the army, because when they are here, not now, but before, but we see soldiers everywhere. 5 minutes, okay. We see soldiers everywhere in Israel, and they know that the perspective that was developed in Germany was about pacifism, okay, after the war. And they know that they did very well why here we have so many soldiers. Israeli society deals with the history of the Holocaust in a similar way as you do. It is not our mandate here to clarify the Middle East conflict and the presence of soldiers here. But all the time, the German teacher push the staff to deal with topics that they are not prepared. And then the last point, it's the question of anti-Semitism, the new anti-Semitism, the German far right, and other genocides. We need more help with AFD pupils. Teachers expect that we would have developed something totally new. They want material in order to deal with a student that came to the classroom with all these far-right ideas, extreme right ideas. We say anti-Semitism is not our expertise. I noticed that, at least over the year, the lesson of the Shoah for today, how past, present, and future are related, that's what they want to hear. What does it mean when the Shoah is understood as a preventive tool to prevent anti-Semitism? I am now of the opinion that I must be taking into account in the educational work all what the teachers need. And for one more example, and then I finish with conclusions. They speak about the refugees and also a comparison of refugees with the refugees of the Shoah. But the teachers say, but I think references are very important. For example, I had a situation with a school class where Syrian students talk about poison gas attack. These are genocidal experiences. Sometimes they speak about a manifestation of refugees at the same level as a genocide. And then all the time, the Yad Vashem staff has to put this in proportions. Yes, okay, the demonstration, anti-fascist demonstration in Germany compared to the genocide. There are things really... and then the last, that I wanted. Comparing to other genocides, for example, that also. And then this question like, but you do not include human rights somehow in Holocaust, in Shoah education. You do not care about other genocide, xenophobia and human rights. I don't know what. That happens much less often. But to someone make the story mandate compressive, someone to make it clear. They want to speak about human rights, genocide in other countries, xenophobia, in order to clarify, to pass a lesson of the Holocaust to the children. Then, that's the concluding thought. The last sentence I think is the most important and to finish on time. Our research encourages contemplation of how to best adapt Shoah education to specific target populations and to the need of today's students and teachers and the need they have in Germany, in general, not only in Germany, but recognition of learners' diverse needs, emotional heritages, social historical perspectives, and contemporary references ought to be a central goal of professional development in museum. Holocaust, in order to build a Holocaust education for the 21st century. Thank you very much.